On this page, Alice has had an English girlhood in an English school with rather colder colors and a flatter landscape in terms of emotional content. But it does have a more sort of repressed, slightly Japanese quality to it, more contemplative, less sensory slightly than the Dorothy piece. And then with Wendy's storytelling, when we go back into her childhood, her panels are vertical like a stained glass window and denote a kind of sexual rigidity, slight repression. There's a lot of beauty, the boys, the nature, the summer. And then this strict black and white code, if you will, of Victorian parenting, that precise clipped way of looking at things. In the Dorothy chapter, this was all really quite difficult to do, the color light sources, and I wanted them to look like the light shining through the barn, but I also wanted it to have a kind of a young girl's illustrated storybook quality, and I very much like diaphanous materials, and this is the dress that goes through the tornado with Dorothy, so it's quite an important dress. It's got to be a farm girl's dress, but it's got to have a beauty to it, you know, a kind of a shadowy delicacy. It's pretty successful, this style for Dorothy, because it's very tactile and very soft and touchable. I could see where imagination might take off again in terms of more symbolic stuff, but I think honestly the film industry is eating up comics characters at such a fast race and spewing them out as so much unspeakable, stenchy crap. I mean, I think comics are going to people are going to get pretty sick of the comics product, superhero per se. And superheroism seems to be so visceral for these times. Nobody needs a big clunky guy to throw cars about. You know, we've got drunks in town here that can do that. You know, we don't need that kind of superhero. What we need is a super sage. You know, we need a genuine group of wise people. We need to become wise. That's the job of tomorrow, becoming wise and integrated and understanding that there is an unseen cohesion to everything, that everything isn't disparate, that we're all sharing heartbeats at the same time, that everything is affecting everything else. And I mean the so-called realism-based community, i.e. the scientific community in America. This is a really terrifying trend. You know, this sort of, you know, the fact that the neocons have, you know, decided that, well, there's creationism or there's you people over there who are reality-based. I suspect it's the act of dying monsters. Monsters always make more trouble before they die. They always tear off a few heads and pour a lot of blood everywhere and set a lot of fires before they killed off. And I think eventually America will have to sort of, you know, shit itself and die basically in this form, and then let some of the heroic types, the new creators, the new artists, the new writers, the new dancers, the new filmmakers, the new musicians. There needs to be obviously high quality communion between people who can genuinely think, and I think our thinkers are very sort of endangered right now. Sex is a metaphor for everything else, and everything is a metaphor for sex as well, because sex is the coming together of two weather patterns, two separate countries, two entities in a kind of a state of potentially blissful crisis or chaos or harmony. You're not quite sure what's going to happen, but it is the most catastrophic, exciting and weakening thing that can happen to us if we are personally involved in it. Every fiber of our being is made self-conscious or is encouraged to unify on some level with others. And we are delicate. We bring our damage to sexuality, we bring our hopes, we bring our self-image, we bring our world image, we bring what we believe we are, what we believe we aren't, our blind spots, our prejudices, our sadnesses, everything comes out. A lot of people are left wanting and confused and having the idea that their body is like an unloved apartment building. It's up for grabs and it's of absolutely no worth. And if we feel that way about ourselves and we feel that way about others, then of course sex is nothing more than just a lot of rubbing and some kind of release. But the more we are, the more we can feel, the more we can empathize, the more human we are, the more of us we share, because that all goes into the consummate. We are the consummate act of ourselves at all times, and there is no more intimate consummate act than getting that close with someone else. And it is full of power, that act, and it should be considered an act of power, and it should be considered with gravity. I mean, once we get to an age where our personality is vulnerable and we're no longer little sort of young things bouncing about just trying to get experiences in our innocence, once we know how much we can hurt others, once we know how we can strip others of their sense of personal meaning, then we've come into the land of consequence, and we have to treat sex the same way.